Welcome back. Well, here are your starting quarterbacks for the Wendy's CFL on TSN Western semifinal, which is just a few minutes away from sold-out Mosaic Stadium. Buck Pierce and Michael Bishop. Bishop does get the start after a bit of a quarterback carousel in recent weeks in Regina. It's been a story all year long. We talked about it in the pregame show. They have got wins from 4 different quarterbacks, which would be remarkable if they could parlay all of that into a championship. But it's coming down to BC and Saskatchewan to see who moves on to Calgary for the West Final next week. We'll begin by taking you out to Mosaic for the two guys that are going to call all the action. There they are, Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter. Hello, guys.
Hi, David. You mentioned Cam Wake just prior to commercial, and he won't be the outstanding player in the Canadian Football League this year, but he could be the dominant force in this game. And after 10 sacks in the last 4 meetings against Saskatchewan, you know he's been a preoccupation of that offensive line meetings this week in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, 23 sacks on the season, and the only player in CFL history to have 5 sacks in a playoff game. He did that last year in the Western Final against Saskatchewan. And so what does Saskatchewan have to do now to try and contain Cameron Wake? Well, there's a couple of ways. They can double team with fullback Chris Sarka and the tackle making a long corner for Cameron Wake to get to Michael Bishop. The other way, if they go with one back, they'll have Wes Cates in the backfield. When Wake comes up the field, the tackle will take him, but he'll get some help from Wes Cates as he comes out of the backfield, chips on Cameron Wake, and gets out and completes his assignment. So there will be ways to try and double team Cameron Wake using the running backs for Saskatchewan, but you know they have to pay attention to him.
One guy who can't be preoccupied with him, though, is Saskatchewan quarterback Michael Bishop.
I think if the quarterback sit there and focus on where number 91 is, you know, he's not focused on what's going on downfield. And my main thing is, you know, I know what kind of player he is. He has good speed. You know, he tries to play the quarterback and the running back at the same time. So, you know, if I'm gonna get a read where I got to pull the ball, you know, I got to come out there running full speed.
Of course, on the other side, they've got Brent Johnson to deal with as well. 2 great defenses, Chris, in this football game.
16 quarterback sacks for that front 4 in 3 meetings against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dave?
Thank you very much, boys. We will look forward to this one for sure. We've been looking forward to it all week long. The Lions took a hard-fought season series, 2 games to 1, but they finished 1 win back of the Riders, hence the reason that they are on the road for this one. These 2 teams are no strangers to each other in the playoffs. They've met in Western Finals 3 of the last 4 years. They just talked about Cam Wake, so let's take Cam Wake out of the equation for this next question. When these 2 teams are as equally matched as they are, what one player do you think could really turn the tide today? Schultze?
You know what? I'm really looking forward to watching Andy Fantus play as a receiver for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We saw in the first game where Fred Perry made a major contribution to winning football. Now that Andy Fantus has gotten over his broken leg, he's got a couple games under his belt. He's a big target. He's a lot like Jason Claremont for the BC Lions. He's a physical player, and if it's an inaccurate pass, and Michael Bishop has been known to throw the odd inaccurate pass, Fantus is the type of guy who can catch that ball, even though it may be inaccurate.
I got you to smile, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You almost made me lose it, too.
You know who makes me smile when I watch play? Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker for Saskatchewan Roughriders. You know, most everybody defensively plays fast, but when you play fast like Mo Lloyd, you take it up a notch, and he plays with confidence. What I mean by that is his recognition of offense and his ability to fly to the football. Mo Lloyd plays clean bonnet football, and he plays it faster than most in the Canadian Football League in 08. And when he goes to the football and he actually hits a ball carrier, bad things are going to happen. We saw that all season long. I'm going to watch Mo Lloyd.
You guys talk about players that make you smile. There's one player out there who makes me just go all the time. Stefan Logan.
Stefan Logan.
I mean, there's no player I enjoy watching more than this guy, and if there's anybody I thought who would have a huge impact on this game, it's him. Now, he's out of South Dakota. He's from Florida, Miami, Florida. This guy's not used to playing in cold weather. However, it's only about 0. I think he can handle it. He's a tough kid, and I expect this guy to have a whale of a ball game. You know, he doesn't know better. You know what it's like when you're a young guy. You're just out there having fun, and that's what he's all about. His speed, his quickness. I think he's going to have a real impact on this ball game.
Although before this game, he did say that it was a concern of his, the weather.
And what about you, Dave? Do you got somebody you're going to watch?
Wes, I love Wes Cates. I love Wes Cates. This guy's a power back. He's got 245 yards in 3 games against the Lions. There are great matchups at positions all over the field in this football game, but Wes Cates, for me, I think it's on his shoulders because I think the Lions have the edge in the quarterbacking battle.
And you know what's the common denominator between all 4 of our picks? all four of those guys are really competitive. All four of those guys really love football. All four of those guys play with a lot of heart. And you watch their body demeanor and you watch their emotion. When things don't get right, when they're not going right, you see it in their face. And that's always a good sign, especially going into these playoffs. You got to have guys like that.
And we haven't talked about one player, if this counts as a player, the 13th man?
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Because it's a factor here today.
Yeah, but a couple years ago, remember, Saskatchewan went on the road into BC and won. And we talked here on this panel about the fact that might have been of benefit to that football team to get out of the sort of pressure cooker that is Mosaic Field. So I'm interested to see if this helps them or tightens them up a little bit.
What's that face again?
I'm going to go there.
Let's go there. Give it to him now. Right
again?
now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Stephen Logan face. We'll see if we see that. Here's your starting quarterbacks, brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. We told you about him already. Buck Pierce, 2-0 in his starts this season against BC. Michael Bishop is the man for Saskatchewan. Sit back, relax. This is a football game coming your way. The BC Lions stumbled down the stretch just a bit, and now they have the unenviable task of trying to knock off the champs in front of their raucous crowd at Mosaic in Regina.
Michael Bishop will score again!
The key to the Green Machine's offensive attack are in the hands of Michael Bishop today as he leads the Riders against the Lions next. Mosaic Stadium sold out in just over 35 minutes. It is by far the craziest atmosphere in the Canadian Football League, and it'll be on fire today as the Roughriders host a playoff game for the second consecutive year. And there's the trophy everybody started fighting for today. The Grey Cup playoffs begin on semifinal Saturday. Dave Randolph with you, Jock Climie, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. The Edmonton Eskimos, the crossover team from the West, they are through as they went into Winnipeg and took care of business. 29-21 is the final. The East final is set next week in Montreal. It'll be the Als and the Eskimos. The Calgary Stampeders are at home, comfortable, sitting on their couches, waiting to see who they will face in the West final next week at McMahon Stadium. Will it be the Lions or will it be the defending Grey Cup champions from Saskatchewan? So much to talk about with these two teams. They're very evenly matched. Jock, what do you see?
You know, if Michael Bishop is able to go tape to tape and get the victory today, I think we'll see a good story from this season become a great story. But I think in order to do it, he obviously can't do what he did last week. He cannot throw 4 interceptions and expect to beat a team as good as the BC Lions. So how does Michael Bishop avoid that? Well, I say you've got to move your feet. That's obvious. This guy is actually great in the pocket when he moves. I want to see him get sacked. If he's moving his feet in the pocket, if he is running the ball down the field, he's not throwing interceptions. I want to see him get sacked 4 or 5 times this game. Because the problem with him sometimes is when the pressure starts coming, he starts heaving, he starts chucking. And I know he wants to make big plays, but he needs to be selective about that. Let's see if he can use his feet in the pocket and wind up on the ground a few times.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to talk about any football players as my key point going into this game. I'm going to talk about the football fans because it is something in Regina at that stadium, the energy that you feel. Now, here's the issue. We've mentioned this before. Saskatchewan Roughrider fans are smart. Listen to your audio system at home on TV. When Michael Bishop is behind the ball, notice how quiet it gets. Now, when an opponent, BC Lions, for instance, notice how loud it gets. Yeah, the Rider fans go out there and they have fun and they wear watermelons and paint themselves green, but they're smart football fans, and I think it is a huge asset to have 30,000 smart football fans on your side. Players absorb that energy. It's a great feeling. They can use that energy to their advantage. The football fans can make a difference.
Lions started out the season, Schultz, 0-2. And you know who they lost to? Calgary and Saskatchewan. They got to beat those two teams who want to get the Grey Cup this year. And what BC must do in Saskatchewan against that unruly crowd, Schultz, is to weather the storm and match their intensity with Saskatchewan's intensity. And once that happens, maintain their level of team speed and playing with confidence throughout the ball game, because it's not a matter of just going out there playing with emotion. It's about substance and execution. Buck Pierce has had great success against his football team. If he gets nicked, which could happen the way way he plays the ball game. Jarius Jackson is a great go-to guy. He's got a strong arm, can handle windy conditions much like Michael Bishop can.
Yeah, you guys talked about that crowd, and you remember what it's like to play in front of a crowd like that when they're the opponent. You have to take perverse pleasure in quieting the crowd, don't you? The silence for the BC Lions is like the roar of 40,000 Lion fans for them. That's what they have to embrace. And I think that they need to, as you said, weather the storm early, because it's going to be nuts. But they start making some plays, they'll take the crowd right out of it. Because you said, they're intelligent fans. They won't cheer if things are going badly.
On the same side, like if I'm Richie Hall or a defensive coordinator, I'm going after the quarterback. I want to get some hits. I want to let my guys go. Don't be conservative in this game, because remember the Edmonton game against Saskatchewan. But, you know, by the end of the first quarter, Edmonton lost that game because it's overwhelming once you get on a roll and your fans are in it and you got a fast defense.
And they fly around with that crowd. They really get moving.
And, you know, and Jack, you were talking about Michael Bishop getting into some trouble and moving his legs. You know, that's a big part of his game. You know, when he does get into trouble, what he does is he starts singling out receivers and he's trying to strong-arm the football in there. He's got to maintain good field vision and go through his reads and his progressions in order to get the ball out properly. If he starts locating the receivers and predetermining, starting to strong-arm footballs, that's when he gets himself into trouble.
Yeah, and you talk about it as being a question of elimination, right? You're seeing one receiver. If he's not wide open, you've got to eliminate and go somewhere else. Now, that may wind you up getting sacked, but forcing that ball in there is going to get you picked, and that's Michael Bishop's by far his biggest weakness. But I have loved watching him all year. I don't think there's a player I've seen develop.
I think it's fair to say he has outperformed most people's expectations after Saskatchewan acquired him from the Toronto Argonauts.
Both ways, though, positive and negative.
Yeah.
You think Toronto's wishing maybe they still had him?
I don't know. I'll give him a call.
I'll tell you what. Here we go. It's the West semifinal. The Wendy's CFL on TSN West semi. Omar Morgan and the Green Machine take it to the field. Kickoff is next.
Number second. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From the number 1 cockpit, this is Major Chris Park. Welcome to the CFL on TSN. Numbers, smoke now.
Welcome to Mosaic Stadium in Regina. You're watching TSN, proud home of the CFL playoffs and the Grey Cup game. Saskatchewan waited nearly 2 decades for a home playoff date, and today at Mosaic they staged their second in as many years, playing host to the BC Lions. 0 degrees and no complaints about the weather. What a spectacular day. As Wally Boito brings his BC Lions here, says home field advantage a non-factor, and the stats may bear it out. The visiting teams won 6 of the last 10 playoff games in the West. There's Ken Miller, who makes his head coaching playoff debut in this game today as BC and Saskatchewan lock horns for the 4th time in 5 years, and the fuse was lit even prior to the kickoff here between these two arch rivals.
This is a game of emotion, and it is a fine line. There is a balancing act. The explosion of emotion that we saw before anything even started between these two teams. But you also have to control it.
Paul McCallum, who resides in Regina, has it on the tee. James Johnson, James Patrick are deep. And this CFL West semi underway with Patrick from his 20-yard line. And gives Saskatchewan good field position up across the 40 with a penalty marker on the play. But just prior to the kickoff, after the player introductions, the fuse was lit.
Both teams meeting at center field, and this brawl began. A game of intensity. Forget about the regular season records.
On the return,
All those bumps and bruises these players have been playing with throughout the regular season, they don't feel a thing. It's all about one game, and you move on or you go home.
An illegal block on the kickoff brings it back to the 31. And there is Michael Bishop. 8 regular season starts, a 4-4 record, and 2-4 in his career against the BC Lions. And he'll call quarterback draw. First play, went through an arm tackle and has a first down. Well, they ran against the BC Lions defense last week in Calgary, and Bishop testing them early.
Michael Bishop gets the start. Saskatchewan Roughriders have gone with 3 different starting quarterbacks to finish the regular season. It'll be Bishop because he has the big play ability, with Wes Cates at about 85% in the backfield. Weston Dressler should be the Rookie of the Year in the Canadian Football League this year. He is in that slot back position, and Gene Mikowski, the veteran. Jeremy O'Day back, starting at center for that O-line.
11 for Bishop on the opening offensive play. First down, Roughriders, short drop, and the pass incomplete, intended for Darius Bowman back in the lineup after being on the 9-game DL.
Saskatchewan up front will have to take care of Cameron Wake, or at least try and slow him down. 23 sacks on the season, by far the league leader. He had 5 in the West Final a year ago. Brent Johnson on the opposite side. There's the linebacking core. Javi Glatt, an all-star in the West, in the middle, and Baron Miles led the Canadian Football League in interceptions with 9. He was also a Western All-Star.
13 All-Stars for the BC Lions, only 4 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 2nd and 10, there's pressure, there's a penalty, and a loose ball, and the BC Lions come up with a football. So Cameron Wake makes his presence felt already. Penalty marker looked like he was being held as he barged into the backfield.
Well,
Saskatchewan number 58. Penalties declined. It was a fumble recovered by BC. First down.
Belton Johnson called for holding, and the Lions come up with the football.
And it'll be Belton Johnson and Wayne Smith that will have the pressure on them in this game. There's why, number 91, Cameron Wake, and he starts out of the gate in the very first series. Pressure rush with a rip move with his right arm underneath, and he draws the holding call and gets there.
Saskatchewan committed 8 turnovers their last meeting against the Lions, and they pop it up on the opening series of this game, and Buck Pierce has great field position in his first ever playoff start. That he hands it off, and here's Stephon Logan off the left side, and a big run for Logan as we take a look at how the Lions got their hands on the football.
Well, I talked to Ken Miller yesterday, and he said that they're going to have to try and double team number 91 with the running backs. This time they choose not to. Pressure off the edge. That's the 6th forced fumble of the year for Cameron Wake, number 91, as he gets things going early for the Lions.
Aaron Hunt vacuums it up. As we mentioned off the top of the show, the front 4, 14 sacks in 3 games, 43 tackles, and 2 fumble recoveries, and now have 1 in the early stages of this playoff game. Wally Buono wants a closer look at the measurement as the Logan run comes up a yard short of a first down.
Wally Buono said yesterday that he feels more confidence about his team in this playoff game than he did a year ago in the Western Final because of the way they bounced back from adversity this year.
Pierce to the sidelines, and Jarius Jackson will handle short yardage duties. Logan the lone back, but Jackson will plunge straight ahead over center Angus Reid. Saskatchewan native Kelly Bates at left guard.
Starting offense for the BC Lions, we mentioned Buck Pierce, the starting quarterback. He will have Stephon Logan in the backfield. 9 starts in the season for Logan, 1,700 plus all-purpose yards. You have Ryan Grice-Mullen at wide receiver. Jason Claremont back in the lineup after missing 3 games. And Murphy and Jimenez, all-stars in the West, at tackle.
1st and 10 at the Rough Rider 21. And Pierce back to throw. Underneath it goes. And Logan out of the backfield has the catch. Mo Lloyd, the middle linebacker. Check that, Lyle Green, the fullback, with the catch.
Defensive front 4 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Up front, John Chick, 3 sacks. He comes off that defensive end, been on and off the roster due to injury. There's the heart of their defense, that linebacking core. 2 all-stars there, Maurice Lloyd, Anton McKenzie, and you could argue Sean Lucas should have been an all-star. And there's the veteran secondary, Eddie Davis and Omar Morgan on one side, the strong side.
Coming off what Richie Hall called their worst game of the year in the season finale against Toronto. On 2nd and 2, hands off Logan left side, and Logan is wrestled down by the safety Scott Gordon. And it looks like he'll be close to the first down.
Defensive coordinator Richie Hall will give the BC Lions some different looks. Every game this year, all 18, he has changed things up just enough to keep offenses off balance. He likes to send the linebackers. He'll send the safety, Scott Gordon. They are a very quick defense, and again, led by that linebacking core. That's the heart and soul, Maurice Lloyd, right in the middle.
And you're right about Sean Lucas. A lot of arguments in Saskatchewan about the fact that Lucas, number 2 in tackles this season, was not selected to the All-Star team. When Johnson will signal that it is indeed a BC first down.
Well, and this linebacking core needs to stop here, but you mentioned Sean Lucas, 95 tackles, 237 combined between the 3, 9 forced fumbles, 6 sacks. That's the best in the CFL when you take the whole group. Maurice Lloyd, Anton McKenzie. They not only get there in a hurry, but they get there in a bad mood.
It's the front 4 in BC that's much talked about. It's the big 3 at linebacker for the Rough Riders. 1st and 10 at the 11. And Buck Pierce and Ryan Grice-Mullen with the drop. A touchdown last week as he lit it up with a 67-yarder against the Stampeders, but a bad drop here.
Well, he had 5 catches last week in that loss to Calgary. 113 yards, was the Lions' leading receiver, and maybe a little nerves in his first playoff game in the CFL. I mentioned that explosion of emotion you get in the playoffs. You also have to try and control it. Keep your head in the game and keep focused.
Lions forced 12 regular season turnovers against the Rough Riders. And now trying to make them pay for the first of the postseason. Buck Pierce over the middle, and that ball is incomplete. O'Neal Wilson had it go off his fingertips.
Wally Buono tried to say publicly that home field advantage would not make a big difference in this game. I think it was a message to his own team through the media, because this is one of the toughest places for the visiting team to come away with a victory. He has done it this year, but this crowd, a sellout in 35 minutes at Mosaic Stadium, they know when to cheer. They know when to make it tough on an offense.
Now they'll make it hard on one of their own. Paul McCallum will put it through, and the Lions strike first, just short of the 5-minute mark. Rough Riders scrimmage at their 35 after the McCallum field goal. And Wes Cates with his first carry of the game, and Brent Johnson in on the stop.
Michael Bishop, 4-4 as a starter for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this year. He threw 4 interceptions in the last game of the regular season to Toronto, and asked Ken Miller to keep him in the game because Miller had been pulling his quarterbacks and making a change. Darian Durant, number 2 on the depth chart for this game. And then Stephen Giles, number 3.
2nd and 8, Bishop rolling to the right side and delivers. It's a first down catch. Weston Dressler, the top rookie in the West. And a connection from Michael Bishop and a first down for Saskatchewan.
I loved what Ken Miller did in that Toronto game with Michael Bishop. When Bishop went to the sideline after his 4th interception and said, "Coach, give me another series," he basically gave ownership of the offense to Michael Bishop. He's saying, look, you're the guy who's going to lead us in the playoffs. You're the guy who's going to take us there. You've got that big play potential, that big playability. You go in there and finish the game. They came back and beat Toronto, and that's why he's the starter in this one.
12 to Weston Dressler. And a first down, and this ball tipped in the air. And has it been picked off? BC's got the football. And is it back-to-back turnovers? The Lions come up with it. And it's an interception off the tip by Brent Johnson. Game not 6 minutes old. That ferocious front four has forced 2 turnovers. An interception by Tyrone Williams off the Brent Johnson tip. Cam Wake with a forced fumble, and Aaron Hunt a fumble recovery. So all 4 have made prominent plays in the first 2 series. And it looks like we may be getting a challenge from the Roughriders on the Tyrone Williams interception.
Well, Saskatchewan is challenging the ruling of an interception on the field. I'll review the play.
The ball was tipped by Brent Johnson. And it was Tyrone Williams that it looked like Tyrone Williams had made the catch. There's 96. There's Brent Johnson right there. He gets the tip. Ball goes up in the air. Now, Tyrone Williams, 96. Did he hang on to that football? It looked like he made a good catch. This may be a better look at it. Well, we just lose it to the left of your screen, but I thought even from that first angle, it looked like he had both hands underneath the football.
Pretty acrobatic play for the big man at 6'4", 296.
Well, that front four making their presence known early in this football game. They've already generated potentially 2 turnovers. Tyrone Williams did not have a good game against the Calgary Stampeders, and the refs waste no time here.
After review, the player did have his arm under the ball. The ruling on the field stands.
And Tyrone Williams says never a doubt. He did call it his worst game of the year last week, and this has got to be a huge concern for Ken Miller. 2 turnovers in 6 minutes and minus 14 in the last 7 games. And as mentioned, 8 turnovers against BC in their last meeting here. Just 3 points off the first turnover. Buck Pierce back to work and looks over the middle and has Jason Claremont playing in his old backyard for the first time in the postseason.
Missed 3 games. He's playing with a knee brace and made a real speedy recovery. And what Jason Claremont brings to this offensive lineup for the BC Lions is toughness. He'll make that hard catch. He'll take those hits over the middle, and that can fire up an entire team.
G. Roy Simon said yesterday he'll take triple coverage away from number 81 as well. 2nd and 3. Pierce takes a look and throws, and Simon was being held on to. Wants a flag, isn't going to get one. Incomplete.
G. Roy Simon is complaining that Eddie Davis grabbed his jersey. He's the middle receiver right here in this formation with 3 into the boundary, and he goes one-on-one on Eddie Davis, the veteran. As he turns to go for the ball, Davis grabs his arm and won't let him bring his left arm around. That's why he wanted to call, but the official's going to let him play.
Looked like Scott Schultz may have got his fingertips on that pass from Buck Pierce. So this defense is stout for Saskatchewan.
That's big. That's big for the Riders.
McCallum angling the punt. Doesn't want it to bounce into the end zone, but it will. And James Johnson will concede a single point. And so it's 4 points off turnovers early for the Lions. Welcome back to Mosaic, where Farhan Lalji's on the sidelines.
Thanks, Chris. Glenn mentioned that Jason Claremont has missed the last 3 games with a sprained MCL, but he has looked very good in practice this week thanks to a new carbon fiber brace. Now, this brace is much lighter than the one he wore when he injured his other knee last season. He says that he can wear this one much closer to his leg because it actually expands with his leg. The knee is not frozen for this game. Jason told me before the knee is fine. The big challenge is mentally believing that it's fine.
Roughriders have a challenge now. 2 first downs, 2 turnovers as they go to work on their 3rd possession of the game out of a double tight end formation. And there's a completion. Weston Dressler has another catch, taken down by Dante Marsh. Dressler with a pair of 100-yard receiving games against the Lions this year.
Yeah, and the 2 games that he played, BC had 258 yards receiving on 11 catches. Did not find the end zone in those 2 games, but he's found the end zone plenty of times this year. In fact, 6 touchdowns in a 1,000-yard season as a rookie.
Well, what a brilliant second half of the season he had. Has 8, 2nd and 2 back, and Wes Cates, the ball carrier, into the teeth of that front 4. And to get to the 45-yard line, looks like he might be short. BC Lions led the league in takeaways and sacks, largely because of the strength of that front 4 pressure that's been in evidence already today.
Yeah, and Chris, Ken Miller has to be concerned with a couple of early turnovers by his football team. However, the last time these 2 teams played, the Saskatchewan Roughriders turned the ball over 8 times and only gave up 6 points off of those 8 turnovers. So they can survive it. But boy, it becomes tougher in the playoffs.
That's short of a first down.
And it looks like Ken Miller will gamble and go ahead and try and get this.
Mark Peranto, Luke Mullender come in to beef up that offensive line as the jumbo team will go to work on 3rd and short.
Well, these short yardage plays, and it's been an interesting short yardage season when it comes to 3rd down gambles or goal line situations in the CFL. Not always guaranteed, especially with the front 4 that the Lions possess.
Aaron Hunt gets set as they plow forward and should have the first down across the 45.
One of the ways that Saskatchewan today, in this game today, can try and neutralize that attack from the defensive line is Wes Cates. Try and pound him up into the defensive line. He finished 2nd in the league in rushing behind Joffrey Reynolds with 1,229 yards. If they can pound him and try and keep the defensive line for BC honest, it should give Michael Bishop a little more time and then the ability to go to play action later in the game.
Newcomer to the BC Lions defense, Ternan Nandy, comes in for his first defensive reps as a Lion. Bishop, another ball batted down. And that one almost picked off. Otis Floyd got his hands on the football.
Otis Floyd, 7 knockdowns on the regular season, and he gets one here, a very important one. The Saskatchewan Roughriders trying to go with the quick game. You see just 3-step drop from the quarterback, Michael Bishop. 1, 2, 3. That means he's getting it out of his hands early. Otis Floyd times it and tips it up. Almost another interception there for BC.
Different defense than we saw last week at McMahon in Calgary. 2nd and 10. And Keats, the ball carrier, not going anywhere. Aaron Hunt was there. And this front 4 is putting on a show in the opening quarter.
Aaron Hunt 2 weeks ago, 3 sacks for the BC Lions. He lines right over Jeremy O'Day back in the lineup, and a nice swim move to get Jeremy O'Day with his forward momentum to fall forward, fall down, and he went right around him.
And Ian Smart has called a timeout. Didn't like the alignment.
Well, there was one guy missing, Glover.
And Glover does come onto the field, so an alert play by Ian Smart, the return man for the BC Lions. As Jamie Borum in to punt for the first time today. #2 punt returner in the CFL this year. Standing at his 25. Good kick by Borum. That drives Smart back to his 12. But a good return. And then nailed Neil Hughes downfield to bring Smart to the turf. Welcome back to Regina. And we know that front four BC's in the zone. Now Buck Pierce goes to work on offense, starting at the Lions 27, and they screen to Logan. They step on Logan with a cutback. And Eddie Davis will push him out of bounds. Up around first down territory.
They want to get the ball to Stephon Logan a bunch. He gets the ball out of Buck Pierce's hands quickly and tries to neutralize the speed of the linebackers. 3 ways to do it when Stephon Logan's in the shotgun. That's just the swing pass out into the outside. There's the push, which gets him across the line of scrimmage, and then there's the arrow that takes him down the middle. 3 different ways to get Stephon Logan out of the backfield and into some open field. They want to get the ball in 2-6's hands and get it out of Buck Pierce's hands quickly.
226 yards from scrimmage last week against Calgary. 11 yards on that pickup and a first down. Up at the line, 38-yard line, looked one way, and then to the other side, there's Paris Jackson, the Lions' top Canadian, and he's swarmed there. Omar Morgan on the corner.
The BC Lions coming into this game were in a role that they are not familiar with, and that was as underdogs. The Saskatchewan Roughriders favored because of home field, because of their season, the way they fought through adversity. The Lions liked it. They didn't mind being the underdogs in this game because they feel with their talent, and you mentioned 13 All-Stars, they may be the most dangerous underdogs in a long time in the playoffs.
I like Wally Bono's analogy yesterday. He said it's like driving in a storm. You're more alert when you're in that storm. Here's Buck Pierce, the out. Omar Morgan, tight coverage again in his first ever home playoff game. Remember, he wasn't with these Roughriders a year ago.
Omar Morgan out on that corner, 70 tackles in the regular season. He'll be playing primarily against the rookie Ryan Grice-Mullen. Did not have an interception in the regular season, but you could tell by his eyes and focus and that play, he came ready to play.
For McCallum to kick it away. And fielded there. And James Johnson brought down with penalty markers on the play. Jason Araki, who led the CFL in special teams tackles with 32. First man downfield for the Lions. 41-yard punt, 3 on the return.
And you know, Chris,
no yards. BC number 39. It's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
And Jamal Johnson finished 3rd in special teams tackles in the CFL. But I was going to mention, Chris, you never know in games like this in the playoffs who may be that unsung hero. It may be a big special teams play. It's often a guy that you don't expect to make the big play in a game like this. And maybe it is a Jason Araki, or maybe it is one of the special teams guys.
Under 3.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. 4-0 BC. Michael Bishop trying to get the offense. Kick started, but that's picked off. Ryan Phillips has got it, and they don't bring him down, and Phillips runs across midfield before he's hauled down by Chris Getzlaff. But Phillips, who led the league in interceptions last year, had only 1 this season, has 1 in the opening quarter of the postseason.
Early pressure on Michael Bishop looks like it has him a little antsy because he had more time in the pocket than he expected, and that ball thrown up into coverage. There's basically no wind in this game, and we've talked many, many times about how strong Michael Bishop is and his arm strength, and that one just floated on him coming out of his hand. Easy interception for Ryan Phillips.
And already there'll be questions about who starts the next series on offense for Saskatchewan. But Pierce up once, and that one knocked down. Scott Gordon, the safety, broke up the pass intended for G. Roy Simon.
It's a game of opportunities too, Chris, and the BC Lions, the concern for them right now has got to be they got to capitalize on these turnovers because it can come back to haunt you if you don't. They had 2 turnovers in Saskatchewan side of the field, came away with 4 points. This is number 3. Can they finish a drive? Can they get the major and grab some of this momentum? This defense is holding on sudden change for Saskatchewan right now.
side of half. 2nd and 10. That ball batted down. There's a knockdown by the blitzing safety, Scott Gordon.
Second time in a row, Richie Hall has gone with safety blitz. Go ahead and run it for a second, guys. You'll see him come from the left of your screen, and he's going to come between Murphy right there. There's Scott Gordon, the safety number 26. You can see the natural opening between Kelly Bates and Rob Murphy, and he gets his hands on it.
So the Lions unable to utilize that turnover for points. And McCallum has to kick it. Line drive boot, angling away from Johnson at his 6. Fumbles the football. BC's on it. And it'll be Lion football again. 4 turnovers first quarter.
And I believe it was Pottinger who was last to touch it. You mentioned a Jason Araki, 32 special teams tackles. Ball's out there. And number 11, I believe it was Jay Pottinger, who had 30 special teams tackles. Chris, you mentioned, here he comes. He's the last guy to touch it. Ball on the turf there. Touches Pottinger there, and out it goes. BC football.
Ghastly start for Saskatchewan. And it's remarkable that it's only 4-0, but the Lions poised to change that. 10 at the Roughrider 14 as Buck Pierce battles the noise. And procedures to chalk one up for the crowd here.
That's the 13th man we talked about. You could tell right as they broke the huddle that Buck Pierce was having problems trying to audible on the line of scrimmage. He breaks the huddle and comes out, and he recognizes something on the defense that he needs to change, and then he wants to go. Now he's trying to change the call as he sees it, and he can't get it done. He's almost have to go right up to each player and tell them individually.
And it only gets louder now. They just get it off, 1st and 15, and Stefan Logan brought down at the 16-yard line.
You know, football is often about how you respond to adversity. So far, the Saskatchewan defense has responded in a big way. 4 turnovers early in this game, and they continue to battle. They've only given up 4 points, and they now have BC in a 2nd and long.
They mark it at the 17. Give Logan 2. 2nd and 13. Logan to the 10, and he's brought down at the 7. And once again, the field goal unit comes on for the Lions.
Well, they get Logan. This is option 3 that we drew up for you. There's Stefan Logan in the backfield, and option 3, remember, was that one where he just goes right down the middle. That's what Stefan Logan does here, but because Saskatchewan had pushed BC into 2nd and long, more than 10, they rally and hold him from a first down.
Anton McKenzie, Omar Morgan there on the stop. Another short field goal attempt for McCallum. This from the 15-yard line. And the Lions' lead is 7 in the final minute of this first quarter that has been littered with Saskatchewan turnovers. Well, TSN, the home of the Grey Cup, and the road to the big game continues next Saturday with both the East and West finals, and it will be the Edmonton Eskimos in Montreal, and we'll decide who will play Calgary at McMahon. Live coverage beginning noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and it's available in TSN HD. Not sure how happy Wally Bono can be in this opening quarter, where this game could almost be over already.
He's got to be concerned, as a matter of fact, Chris, because the Lions have had a lot of chances here to grab momentum in a big way, and they haven't been able to do it.
Michael Bishop still at the helm, and he pops that up, and Ryan Phillips almost had that interception. Rob Bagg was there, and that wasn't vintage Michael Bishop either.
No, he thought he could thread the needle there to get it to Rob Bagg going down the sideline, but Ryan Phillips defense was waiting for him to let that ball go. Again, another one that's floated out of his hands. Now, Ken Miller said he put him back in the game, give him some ownership of the offense after throwing 4 interceptions against Toronto. I'm not sure he'll wait that long in this one.
He told us yesterday he might be more patient in a playoff game than a regular season game, but you have to wonder after this first 15 minutes. Does throw a strike here and a first down and a much-needed one to a Darius Bowman, dragged back by Dante Marsh, but forward progress will be a first down across the 45 on the final play of the opening quarter. First quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
What jumps off the page, Saskatchewan's 4 turnovers. The good news for Rider fans is that there's only been 7 points scored off of those turnovers, so the defense is holding so far.
If there ever was a glass half empty, half full debate, it might be that. Is it more significant there have been 4 turnovers or that BC's only got 7 off?
Yeah, I think BC's concern right now is they're not taking advantage of those turnovers, and that can come back and get you in the fourth quarter. So we'll see if this Saskatchewan defense can hold, and how long do they stay with Michael Bishop, because he doesn't look, other than that last throw of the first quarter, he doesn't look like his game's on right now.
Yeah, you don't want to continually harp on the quarterbacking carousel, but you have to believe he's on the clock right now. But he did hook up on a first down play, and now Wes Cates trying to establish something on the ground up to the 51.
Well, here's the 3 quarterbacks you talked about, Chris. The 4-4 record for Michael Bishop. All 3 with winning record, or Darian Durant and Stephen Giles, I should say, with winning records at 4-0. Now, this is what Ken Miller said about this game this afternoon. He said Durant will be number 2 because he manages the game better than the other 2.
Coach,
he wanted to go with Bishop because of his big play potential, and Giles is a runner. If they need that, they may even go to Stephen Giles.
2nd and 7. Bishop has Cates out of the backfield, another first down. And Wes Cates in the line territory, steps out at the 42.
Now Michael Bishop is buying himself some time. 2 big throws, one at the end of the first quarter where he knifed one in there in tight coverage, and that one where he this time reads the defense well. Not a perfect spiral, but doesn't matter. He gets it out to the target, Wes Cates, out in the flat, and he picks up good first down yardage.
Offensive coordinator Paul Lapalisse mentioned yesterday, one asset Michael Bishop has is he has the ability to flush bad plays. He'll forget them, and he's had a few that he's tried to forget in this first half. Fumbles the football. Is BC on this one? And from the pile-up, Bishop didn't get it, but Glenn Johnson tells you it is 2nd down, so somebody wearing green at the bottom of the pile is credited with the football.
Looked like Tyrone Williams kind of went past the ball and got caught in his legs. And that was a snap where Michael Bishop was under center. It wasn't shotgun. You see, it got caught in the legs of Tyrone Williams, and it looks like a Rider, one of those offensive linemen, may have recovered it, or it might have been Bishop himself.
Wes Cates, yeah, it looks like Wes Cates late into the pile came up with a loose ball, but Bishop now surveying 2nd and 12. Out of the gun. Wait, doesn't get to the quarterback, and Bishop steps up and dropped at the 38-yard line, short of the first down, but in field goal position for Saskatchewan.
Offensive coordinator Paul Lapalisse, 2nd season in Saskatchewan, 9th in the Canadian Football League, and has had to put together different game plans somewhat. I mean, there is the base package that all 3 quarterbacks can run, but each one will have their own package of plays. And again, Darian Durant, the manager, Michael Bishop, the big play guy, but he has a downside, and then Stephen Giles. We'll see what Ken Miller does as this game goes on.
Luka Kanji to attempt a 46-yarder, led the CFL in field goal percentage this year. Lines that one through. That's a big 3 points for Saskatchewan on the board, trailing 7-3. Welcome back to Regina. The BC Lions have opted to receive The kickoff from Jamie Borum. Short kick into the wind, and it'll be taken by one of the up men, Rolly Rambala. And he'll do some rumbling up across the 50-yard line. They told me we'd have to show you this. Playoff game 1988 here at Taylor Field.
I had just recently erased this from my memory. Boy, there was lots of anticipation. Been a long time. Matt Dunnigan a little upset.
Yeah, he thought you should have been called there.
Hey, if they don't see it, there's no foul. That was one I wanted to forget.
Yeah, so did Keener. That was a tough day for the Roughriders. Not enjoying this afternoon yet. Here's Logan up to midfield. Stefan Logan has 5. Scott Schultz, the Moose Jaw native, on the tackle.
Well, you know, and it just when you see that flashback of 16 for the BC Lions in 1988, leading the Lions to that win, and now you look at the Lions' current starting quarterback wearing number 16. See the similarities between the two.
Yes, indeed. Who'd have thought it had been 19 years between home dates? Here we are back. Second straight year in the playoffs here. And pass over the middle and a gang tackling on O'Neal Wilson. Let's see what forward progress they give. Wilson looks like he's going to be just short of the first down.
Interesting situation here for Coach Wally Buono. With the way this defense has been playing in sudden change, and when I say sudden change, that's when a turnover has been created. The defense has to come on the field suddenly, and they get a stop. Just 7 points with 4 turnovers already in this game. And he's going.
Third and less than a yard, so Jarius Jackson checks back in. And he'll lunge for the first down off the left side behind Bates and Murphy.
He takes a gamble here too, Chris, because Jarius Jackson leaves his feet. Anytime you do that in short yardage, now you've lost all your leverage. You've lost all your drive. And he wins on the gamble because he takes a side, and watch how he one step and up and over the top. If he gets hit in midair, he has no push left. Works for the Lions.
First down at the Roughrider 49-yard line. Pierce hit as he delivered, and Ryan Boyce Mullen with the catch. John Chick got a shot in on Buck Pierce.
Well, both Rob Murphy and Stefan Logan from that side both got caught in the actual, either a quick count. And watch John Chick come off the edge. Murphy was looking the opposite way, misses him, and so does Stefan Logan. They almost get their quarterback killed there.
Four for Bryce Mullen, 2nd and 6. Jumped the gun, and Bryce Mullen can't hold on with Omar Morgan on his back.
The strength of this team all year long, Chris, has been their defense for Saskatchewan. And they are showing it again through all their injuries, through all their adversity. The defense kept showing up.
And undaunted by
BC number 19.
The rash of first quarter turnovers. Jackson called. Penalty declined, and Paul McCallum will come in to kick.
15th season as a coach in Saskatchewan for Richie Hall, their defensive coordinator. And once again, he has his starting 12 ready to go.
There's Johnson on the run. Jason Araki up at the 15-yard line. Approaching 6 minutes of the second quarter. Back in Regina, Saskatchewan has the football on their own 16-yard line, and Wes Cates to work, and he'll draw a crowd up at the 20. The man who led the Canadian Football League in yards from scrimmage this year, 1,680.
Well, you can see what Saskatchewan's starting to do now. Look at Chris Sarker right there, and you can see Neil Hughes there. They're going with 2 tight ends now. They're trying to widen the corner, keep Cameron Wake and Brent Johnson further away from the quarterback or the running back, and then try and run it in the middle. That's a way to try and keep Cameron Wake off you.
Wake on the opening series knocked the ball out of Michael Bishop's hand and started that rash of turnovers. 2nd and 6. Bishop with some time and passes that incomplete. Really nobody in the vicinity.
Well, he just got it away too, Chris, Michael Bishop, because Cameron Wake with a spin move. He's working on Belton Johnson coming off the edge. Here he comes. He goes into his body and then spins out of it, and right there throwing Bishop to the ground. So he rushed his throw a little bit and threw it into an open area.
Boy, what an example of Wake's quickness.
Well, his explosion out of his stance is second to none that I've seen in a long, long time in football.
Is an injured BC line on the field. LeVar Glover, the corner, is getting attention. So we'll step out and be right back to the West Semi. TSN is the home of the Grey Cup. Tune into the big game Sunday, November 23rd with the pregame show beginning at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Plus TSN gets you ready a day early with CFL Grey Cup Saturday starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Full weekend of Grey Cup features, behind-the-scenes coverage, and pregame analysis. Midway into the second quarter. 3rd down and Jamie Borum. With James Patrick lined up onside at the top of your screen inside the 5-yard line. And Borum is going to retreat into his end zone. Wow. So a safety conceded by Ken Miller when the ball was on the 20-yard line.
We've talked about this at length during the regular season, that it has become automatic that when a team gets backed up a little bit, usually when the punter is standing on the goal line or into the end zone, it's an automatic safety that they will give up. I talked to some league officials yesterday in the press conference. They are going to look at this rule and possibly move the kickoff after the safety back. So it will put a little more of the strategy back into the game and cause these coaches to start to think about giving up a safety a little bit more than they do now. That's as far out as I've seen a punter standing and then still giving up the safety all year.
And the wind is not that typical prairie gust here. The wind does not seem to be a huge factor.
The only thing that's a factor with Ken Miller making this decision is his defense, because his defense is playing so well. If he can win that field position advantage, get it back with this safety, then put his defense out there. Now he's got his offense after the exchange in good field position. I still don't like it.
I guess the opposite approach is if you love your defense that much, you trust them to stop BC at midfield.
Yeah, and not give up the 2 points.
So again, the Lions opt for the kickoff, and Borum gets a good boot away. Back at the 10, Ian Smart set a record for kick returns this year, and he gets plowed. Neil Hughes fired up. That's a couple of big special teams tackles as we join Farhan Lalji.
Thanks, Chris. You know, a lot of football players love getting in front of the camera, but Anton McKenzie, linebacker for the Riders, loves getting behind the camera. Now, 4 years ago, he used to work at a gym just outside of Bristol, Connecticut, which, of course, is the home of ESPN. A number of ESPN commentators used to come into the gym, and he would say to them, "Is there anything I can do to work for you guys?" So they got him a job doing background work, data entry for college football game day. In fact, he was up for a research position before he got the call to play for the Riders. And then during this past offseason, he went in during the Riders Grey Cup tour to CTV, and they got him a job doing camera work. This offseason, he's going to spend it in Toronto. Don't be surprised if we get an application for an internship at TSN.
We do know he doesn't want any work in the next couple of weeks in the TV business.
63 tackles on the year, 3 forced fumbles, 6 tackles for losses for Anton McKenzie, who missed 4 games due to injury. They played Renaud Williams for him, and he still accumulated those kind
first down for the Lions as Jackson was drilled out of bounds.
Timing on the play perfect from Buck Pierce to Paris Jackson, because as Jackson going one-on-one on Eddie Davis here, as he comes out of the break, ball's in the air right now, turns around, catches it, and is pushed out of bounds immediately by Eddie Davis, but not until after he had had first down yardage.
Third leading Canadian receiver during the regular season, has 12 on that game. The BC first down at the line, 52. Play action, Ryan Bracewell, the hitch, screen across midfield. And down at the Saskatchewan 54, and Anton McKenzie was in the neighborhood.
Omar Morgan had to fight around the block of Kelly Bates. He was the pulling guard coming out there, and he got first contact on Bryce Mullen to trip him up to limit the gain.
I think Buck Pierce has had some playoff debut jitters, and you think he's starting to feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, he looks like he is settling in, and that quick passing game is helping him.
2nd and 7. With one way, now in the middle, pressure, dumps it off, and Paris Jackson dropped by Mo Lloyd, the middle linebacker, behind the line of scrimmage. Shake it up.
There he is right there, Maurice Lloyd, number 46. He shows blitz, comes up into the line of scrimmage, and makes it look like to Buck Pearson he might come on that blitz. Then he drops out. He tracks down Paris Jackson, and the Lions will have to punt.
So Mo Lloyd, the Western All-Star linebacker, walking it off at the bench. What a year he's had.
A conversation with Mo Lloyd yesterday, and I said, hey, you guys don't worry about turnovers anymore. He said, no. They had 8 one time. They only gave up 6 points.
Cal had to angle that punt away from pressure, and it will skip down around the 18-yard line. James Johnson picks it up and is bumped out there. 5:20 left, first half in Regina. Welcome back to Mosaic. And these fans have made their presence felt in this first half.
They are creative, aren't they?
You just get the sense that everything went wrong for Saskatchewan in the first quarter, and had they been on the road, they might not have been able to dig themselves out of the hole, but these fans stayed with them and made it tough on the BC Lions offense. Roughriders back to work, trailing 9-3. Bishop time, and Chris Getzlaff's open. And Getzlaff the first down as he lunges close to the 35. Maurice Lloyd is wired for TSN today.
Here we go. Trick. Oh, told you, bro.
One thing you know about Lloyd, he'll be around the football all day. Here's Wes Cates. Straight ahead.
What's going on?
To the 37.
Here go my boys right here. 1, 29, 15, 24. We got a long game to go. 4 turnovers, 9 points. That's nothing.
There it is. And I mentioned again, the last time these two teams played, 8 turnovers by the Riders, and they only gave up 6 points. That defense and sudden change is tops in the league.
2nd and 8, Saskatchewan. Low shotgun snap. Pressure. And Bishop in trouble. And he is dropped. Ricky Foley and Brent Johnson, and they tried to strip the football away from Michael Bishop again.
Well, Chris, it starts with that low snap on the shotgun because Michael Bishop then has to take his eyes off the coverage. This low snap from Jeremy O'Day starts things off on the bad way for this offensive series, because now he has to look down. By the time he looks up, he's got pressure in his face. That's Aaron Hunt up the middle. Cameron Wake had a shot of him, and Ricky Foley ends up getting him down.
Ricky Foley, the 5th member of that BC front four. Out of Curtis, Ontario, the York Lions product. For him to kick, the penalty marker is down. Renald And we'll sort out the flag tossed by Glenn Johnson's crew.
Holding while the ball was in the air. BC number 51. Go back 10 yards from where they caught it. First down.
Ken Miller chipping away at that field position. Geroy Simon with 1,418 yards in the regular season, 82 catches. Does not have a catch yet in this first half.
Surprised me to see that in 12 previous playoff games, just one 100-yard game for the most dangerous receiver over the last 5 years in the CFL. Logan with a burst and a lunge up to about the 43-yard line.
You know, and Geroy Simon down the last 8-game stretch has 7 touchdowns. He's really been turning it on. Remember those 1,400 yards, second in the CFL, and 10 touchdowns. He also missed a couple of games this year. And in order to get the ball to him, though, the offensive line will have to protect, and they're going to have to give Buck Pierce at least another second in that pocket.
Should be the final play before the 3-minute warning. 2nd and 2. Logan, and he busts through into the open field, down inside the 30, and he'll be cut off at the pass, jolted out at the 14-yard line. Stefan Logan with a huge run as we step out and come right back to Mosaic. Coming up at the half, our guys in playoff form. How about the Queens alumnus who called the first game? And, well, he's right so far. Early in the second game.
Early.
Very early.
Second game, yes.
But a 53-yard romp by Stefan Logan. As the Lions knocking at the door again. First down, 14-yard line. But Pierce with time across the middle. Lyle Green. Lunging, touchdown! He went airborne and crosses the plane, and it's a BC Lion touchdown.
He's often the forgotten man in the backfield for the BC Lions. Lyle Green, just 13 carries on the season. His first catch will be for a touchdown. He comes out of that backfield, and a crossing route by him right across the field in the tight end position. And then it's just second effort and that want-to factor to get himself over the goal line with 2 Saskatchewan tacklers, Cornegay and Fraser, right there to try and stop him.
Riding the shoulders of those 2 Rough Rider defenders. 1 touchdown in the regular season, a big one here in the postseason. And that makes the score a little more reflective of the play here in this first half at 16-3 BC.
Back-to-back big plays, Chris, with the running backs. First, Stefan Logan picks up big yardage as the Saskatchewan Roughriders are now crowding the line of scrimmage, and Buck Pierce is taking advantage of that. He just dumps it off. He's got Logan to his left, and then Lyle Green, the fullback, who lined up as a tight end on the crossing route. So you can see now that the one running back, Lloyd, up here, that's the middle linebacker. Lloyd is the guy who's got to track Logan, so he comes out of the middle. He goes to the left of the formation, then they get Lyle Green the opposite side. And then there's that 1-2 factor right there. It's playoff time.
First, the 53-yard run by Logan, 14 to Green. And they're cheering in Kitchener as the 8-year BC Lion gets to the end zone.
Mom, Dad, Kevin, everybody, love you.
Tom Pate, award nominee from the Lions for his dedication and community work. Now 2:19 left here in the first half for the Rough Riders to respond. James Johnson from his 11. And he's brought down inside the 30-yard line.
See what they're doing with Maurice Lloyd now, the Saskatchewan defense. Here they put him up in the line of scrimmage, and he's in that line of scrimmage. This is the long Stephon Logan run, and then he gets buried in the line of scrimmage there. If he gets penetration, he cuts that off. On the touchdown, here comes Logan to the outside on that run. No one until he gets back deep into the secondary. On the touchdown to Lyle Green, Mo Lloyd was again up in the line of scrimmage, so were their linebackers, and that time Lyle Green from the tight end position came across where the linebackers had vacated.
First down, Bishop on a roll, and this one to Wes Cates, dropped by Jerome Dennis as he threw across his body against the flow.
And that'll be the question I think most of the fans here at Mosaic Stadium and in this province will have going in at halftime. Will we see Michael Bishop in the second half, or do they go to the guy they felt could manage the game? Now they got to come back. They need big plays now, and that's what Ken Miller said about Bishop.
Two of the reasons he wanted Michael Bishop. He can make big plays. He can rally this team from behind, and you think he needs a little of both right now in the final 2 minutes to extend his start into the second half.
Well, think back to the Winnipeg rematch after Labor Day, and Michael Bishop, when the Saskatchewan Roughriders were behind, he threw for 370 and 3 touchdowns. That's why Ken Miller wanted to start him. He thought he had that big play potential, but he has been off in this first half except for 2 or 3 throws.
2nd and inches, and perhaps a free play here for the Roughriders. There as half the line surged and others didn't.
Well, the idea here for Saskatchewan, they want to break the huddle, run all up there, get in their stance quickly, and then just fire off and use that momentum as they come out of that huddle quickly. But only the right side moved there.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, number 67. 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
That's a tough call on the Western Mustang product. Western a winner today over Ottawa in University playoffs. I had to get that in because he was all over me after another school was beaten last week by Ottawa.
And you don't have any results on the Simon Fraser UFC game.
I'm leaving that up to you, sir.
Okay.
So it's second and just over 5 yards. Different play call for Bishop, and he got that through the midst of Darius Bowman.
Wow. I mean, Michael Bishop threw that football as hard as you could. Look at Darius Bowman's going, I barely saw it, let alone had a chance to catch it. Now Bishop looks like he may be trying to force a little bit. I mean, he throws a laser beam here. He had that opening. He had a window. Corey Banks was about a yard and a half off. And Darius Bowman said, woo, Gordon Baby was coming. That had some heat on that one.
Just happy he's still got all his fingers of attack. Jamie Borum to punt it away. Ian Smart going to provide the Lions with decent field position again at their own 48-yard line with 1:45 for Buck Pierce to add to this 13-point Lion lead.
Well, Buck Pierce with a little bit of a change-up here. Dan Durazzo, the offensive coordinator, along with Jacques Chapdelaine for the BC Lions. Durazio's changed things up. We've seen him use his running back, Stephon Logan, on the big run, and then Lyle Green as a tight end on the pass when the linebackers for Saskatchewan got up too tight to the line of scrimmage.
Here's to throw. G-Roy Simon's got his first catch. Omar Morgan closed quickly and brings down Simon just across midfield.
Well, Buck Pierce will call the plays on the line of scrimmage, and you know what the Lions have all of a sudden done with that Lyle Green touchdown? He can now call the plays on the line of scrimmage. He's not fighting the crowd quite like he was in the first quarter.
Lions did use a timeout earlier, so Jacques Chapdelaine's crew doesn't have that at their disposal. Logan on second and a couple, and he'll be close Marcus Adams in on the stop.
Well, a couple of things we've seen in this game in the first half. First of all, Wally Buono's crew on the defensive line came to play. I mean, this defensive line had heard that they couldn't stop anyone on defense. They took that personally. And they came and they made some things happen in the first half. Brent Johnson has made some plays. He had the knockdown that led to the Tyrone Williams interception. Cameron Wake forced to fumble early on. So the BC Lion defense showed up, especially that front four, and the two bookends sit side by side on the bench watching their offense.
Well, they'd been scorched for over 100 points in their last 3 games, and I think everybody found last week's performance extremely surprising.
In that it was Calgary's backups for a lot of that game, and that's what really, I think, embarrassed the BC Lions more than anything. And they'd love another crack at the Calgary Stampeders in the Western Final.
Third and less a yard, and Wally Buono is not going to take any chances, or is he? Paul McCallum does some dancing, and Kevon Jones with the block, and there's a mistake. McCallum, though, with a little left footer out of bounds to improve field position, but Paul McCallum has one blocked by Kitwana Jones, and it gives the Roughriders another chance with 70 seconds to go.
Paul McCallum has the green light because he's a veteran of 16 years. This year in the CFL, he's been 2 for 2 when he's thrown fakes out of the punt formation, and he's run twice for first downs for 22 yards, so that's why he's got the green light. But this one closed on him in a hurry. He panics a little bit. Kitwana Jones knocks it down. Pretty athletic play just to get the line of scrimmage from McCallum.
Go, man.
But the Riders have a chance here for some points.
Well, that's a surprising play with a 13-point lead. Turns out to be an 8-yard punt.
Let's go, man.
And the Roughriders desperate to put some points on the board here in the late stages of this first half. Bishop on a roll, and a short gain for Rob Bagg.
Well, for Wally Buono on a play like that, when the punt formation, if you're going to give the punter green light, if you're going to give Paul McCallum the responsibility, then sometimes you have to live with that result. It's not going to work every single time on an improvised fake, and it didn't work that time. Now, can the Riders capitalize?
2nd and 7. At the 48, quarterback draw. Bishop takes a look and kicks it outside. First down, and Michael Bishop is bounced out of bounds at the 46 of BC.
But that run at this first down may just get Michael Bishop at least the first series in the second half. And I'm talking about the end of the play. Yes, he gets first down yardage on the quarterback draw, but the end of the play is what's most impressive, and this is what may rally his teammates. He bounces outside, and he could have easily run out of bounds. He knew he had the first down, but he takes the hit from Corey Banks to try and pick up a couple extra.
17-yard run for number 17, and a first down at the Lions' 45-yard line. 6 receivers out, and Bishop a quick hitter, but short of the target, gets left.
This is their favorite play, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Let me show you quickly exactly how they use this play. The Michael Bishop, Darian Durant, Stephen Giles, they all like it. This is what it looks like, and it isolates the middle linebacker with Bishop and Javi Glatt. When the ball is snapped, this is what it looks like. Now they're in the pocket. There's coverage on the outside on Cates. There goes Otis Floyd. Jamal Johnson is dropped, and then the gap is in the middle for the quarterback, Michael Bishop, and he has to have Glatt try and come up and make that tackle. It's one-on-one.
2nd and 10. They swing it out. Cates cuts back into traffic and down inside the 40. They'll be short of the first down, but enhancing the field goal position for Luka Kanji. So Ken Miller sizes things up. He's got 3rd and 3, and that field goal unit didn't automatically come on, but now they are.
Well, I was very interested to see that, Chris. Ken Miller hesitated there. He wanted to see how close it was, and it looked like for a minute he may try and fake it, but this is the right call in my mind. I mean, this is 3 points that are crucial to get some momentum back. You got your special teams play. You got Michael Bishop on the run who took a hit. Now getting 3. This is a big 3 for them.
After 3 straight 2-and-outs, trying to put 3 on the board and cut the margin to 10 from 46 yards out. Lukakanji. And this one does just bring in. And he's gotten 2 long ones here in the first half to make it a 16-16.
And there is a brawl going on at center field.
Mark Paronto was involved. Not sure who for the Lions, but it's quickly separated.
Boy, that ball had some action on it. It looked for a minute like Lukakanji was going to miss this wide to the right. It started to move a bit on him to the outside and then just pulled inside that goalpost, made that by about 1.5 yards in length and about 1.5 inches in width.
Now 18 for 23 in the postseason for number 10. Special teams player for the month of October.
One more half to play. We're going to come out.
So that McCallum decision, and in fact, Wally Barano was called to not gamble on 3rd and less than 1 yard, tightens the game a little bit for Saskatchewan. But it's been a BC-dominated first half.
Yeah, I think Saskatchewan has to be real happy with the first half, the way their defense played. Now, will Michael Bishop come back and start the second half, or do they go with Darian Durant? That will be the question.
4 turnovers in the first quarter. The big story is the Lions lead by 10.
Well, just as we saw in the first semifinal in the East in Winnipeg, it's the road team with the lead at the half. The BC Lions up 16-6. Welcome to the halftime show, CFL on TSN. Dave Randolph with you, with my television friends, Jock Climby, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. So, the Saskatchewan Roughriders find themselves down by 10, only 10, somehow weathering a major storm, a first quarter in which they couldn't do anything right, it seemed. 4 turnovers. Remember, they almost had a 5th. There was a fumbled snap in there, and BC gets just 4 points out of that whole deal. They have 16-6 lead. So I'm asking you, who are you, if you're Saskatchewan or BC, who's more concerned? Saskatchewan, the way they played, or BC, the fact they weren't able to end this thing, Matt?
Yeah, we heard Wally, and we have the luxury of hearing Wally, and he said, hey, we're happy to be up in a hostile environment, but they can't be happy being up only by 10 points. But they did create some fantastic turnovers by the athletic play of their defensive line, and they all got involved. Early, it's Cam Wake. He just rips through an underarm, and then he creates a fumble there. Aaron Hunt falls on it. Then here, Brent Johnson gets involved. Deflected ball, then watch this right here. You see the big man, Tyrone Williams, watch him. He's right here. Watch the big man move. Watch how he center field turns here like a receiver would, and then locates the football and makes a great interception. Then Ryan Phillips, number 21, gets a pick here. This is a gimme. Michael Bishop needs to have this one back, and he'd like to have that one back. And then on punt coverage, he's flying down. Jerome Dennis creates his fumble. They knock it out of bounds, get another turnover. In my opinion, guys, this is one of those situations, Soltzy, where, I thought it was going to be Saskatchewan that was going to be putting the pressure on the BC Lions, and they didn't have to weather the storm.
Yeah.
It's been the other way around.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan's had to weather the storm of all these turnovers, and they've come out on the other side only down by 10 points.
It's really been surprising that the BC Lions couldn't capitalize on all these opportunities. And then when you look at the second down play in each and every situation, part of it is because of poor BC Lion play. Part of it is because of great Rider play. Here's the first instance. Buck Pierce throws the ball a little bit too high, perhaps a catchable football. Here's Buck 2. Once again, slightly inaccurate. Maybe you could have got it half and half on that one, but this is due to good defense. That's the perfectly timed tip pass. Great job by the Riders. And here's the next scenario. Each and every one of these plays up here. See how they're all converging? Nice. 3 linebackers inside, outside, and they're just converging on the running back. No first down, not even a chance for a first down. The Riders are doing a really good job of not allowing BC to take this game and run with it. Now, the second half, your offense and your defense, when they get together, no animosity. Nobody needs to stand up and say, hey, we kept us in this game. Now it's your turn to produce some points. Don't get negative on anybody, Dave.
And they only got the 7 points out of the 4 turnovers. turnovers, but BC got some positive plays from the guy you wanted to watch in this game. Because Charles Roberts is not a factor now. He's done, and it's all Stephon Logan.
Yeah, but, there's some things you want to do with Stephon Logan, there's some things you don't want to do, and sometimes he's put in positions where he's being asked to block, and we don't want to see Stephon Logan do that. I think they need to give the ball to him a little bit more to take advantage of the kind of field position they've been getting in this football game. But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I mean, here he is in the backfield, and he knows he's got Anton McKenzie. He has got the linebacker. That's his man. You don't want him blocking a linebacker coming clean off the end, and Buck Pierce almost pays the price and has to get rid of it early. This was a 2nd and 7 play, and that's why they didn't get the 7 yards they needed. Here's why you do want him. Now, he's going to go off tackle here to the left, but watch what happens and why this play works. You're going to see, as Glenn Suter talked about, McKenzie stick his nose right up in here, Lloyd, excuse me. And then you're going to see a stunt by Shawnte Williams and Scott Schultz. Scott Schultz needs to get wider to cover and cancel the C gap. He doesn't get wide enough when he stunts outside, and this is what springs Logan, and his speed just does the rest. He finds a crease and he's gone. And I said I love watching this guy play. I mean, he just ripped off one of the longest runs Saskatchewan's given up all season long. So I hope to see a little bit more of that so they can take advantage of these turnovers.
Will we see Michael Bishop in the second half? Has he regained his balance, or is Ken Miller going to make a change, Matt?
Look at my crystal ball.
Yeah,
if I know Michael Bishop, I think he's a closer. He's not a starter. He's a closer, and I think he closes well. I say leave him in. That's my gut feel.
I say leave him in too. He's already made enough mistakes.
Jock?
If he lobbies me well, like he did in the last game, I'd be leaving him in and find Miller.
That's what happened against Toronto,
That's
right?
right.
They
Little
hung
lobby
tough
on the
and
sideline.
They rallied in the fourth quarter. We'll see what happens. They're going to have to rally right now. They're down by 10. You're watching the CFL on TSN West semifinal.
This is a game of emotion. Michael Bishop trying to get the offense kick-started, but that picked off, fumbles the football. BC's on it. Logan, and he busts through. He went airborne and crosses the plane.
Earlier today in Winnipeg, a road victory, a huge one for the Edmonton Eskimos. 2 touchdowns for A.J. Harris, Ricky Ray, 300 yards passing, a defensive touchdown from Fred Perry. They move on to the East Final next week against the Montreal Alouettes. 29-21 is your final. Here are the first half numbers, brought to you as always by Tim Hortons, always fresh. Jock?
No big surprise, David, that the story in the first half is this number right here, 4. But how about the fact that they've only gotten 7 points as BC off of those turnovers? So in order to win, BC is going to have to do a lot more to improve this number right here. Passing by Buck Pierce, not what it should be.
Let's see what Wally Buono had to say to our Farhan Lalji.
Wally, your defense was challenged throughout the week after what happened last week in Calgary. How big have they stepped up today?
Well, they played well, and we expected them to do that. They've done that all year, and obviously, they were hurt by what happened last week, and they're playing very well right now.
Just 7 points off 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter, or in the first quarter. How disappointing is it that the score is only a 10-point gap right now?
Well, we're happy to be ahead. Obviously, it's a hostile environment here. It's been a tough game, and we're really proud of our team.
Thanks, Wally.
Thank you.
With the Calgary Stampeders sitting and waiting to see who they will face a week from today in the West Final at McMahon Stadium. Corey Warren joins us now with a Sports Center update. Busy night, as always, in the National Hockey League, I guess?
Yeah, a very busy night. 12 games on the NHL schedule, including a big Original 6 battle at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto as the Montreal Canadiens pay a little visit to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Habs trying to rebound from last night's shootout loss in Columbus, halting their 3-game winning streak. Meantime, Toronto has dropped 3 in a row. Their latest, a 5-2 loss to Boston on Thursday. Some bad news for Canadian speed skater Jeremy Witherspoon. He suffered what is believed to be a broken bone in his upper left arm today in Berlin. That could throw a huge wrench into his preparations for the 2010 Vancouver Games. Eric Compton, 5.5 months removed from his second heart transplant. He was the 2004 Order of Merit winner on the Canadian Tour. He made the cut this weekend on the PGA Tour. He sits at 6 under after 3 rounds. All this and a whole lot more coming up on the next edition of Sports Center. We'll have all the reaction from Winnipeg. The Bombers are done. The Eskimos are moving on. Back to Regina after this.
I hope they know. I hope they know. If they don't, you about to show them.
You're watching TSN, proud home of the CFL playoffs and the Grey Cup. And today's Western semifinal for the right to meet Calgary next week. It's BC by 10 as we join Farhan Lalji with Saskatchewan coach Ken Miller.
Coach, I guess the first question is, who will start a quarterback for you in the second half?
Michael Bishop is going to start in the third quarter for us.
Just take us through that decision and how much longer you plan to stick with him.
Well, hopefully we get something going and we'll be able to finish the game with him.
How good has your defense been in keeping you in this game with all the turnovers?
Our defense has been awesome. You know, they've done a great job. Those early turnovers really hurt us, but our defense played great.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
James Johnson and Weston Dressler have dropped deep to accept the second half kickoff, but it will be Dressler, and Weston Dressler with a good return. Leaving across the 45 to the 47-yard line. It is indeed Michael Bishop, as our panelists expected, and I think you did too.
Well, and I like what Matt and Schultze said at halftime about Michael Bishop being a closer. No, it wasn't a good half for Michael Bishop. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did have a couple of drops. 50% was his completion percentage, but he is a closer. That's what he's been throughout his career.
They start double tight ends. Now Wes Keats, the ball carrier. And he plunges to the 50 and has 3.
And in fairness to Michael Bishop, while it wasn't his best first half of his career, you have to give credit to the BC Lion defense.
So 10 possessions. There were 4 2-and-outs, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, 2 field goals for Ken Miller on offense in the opening 30 minutes. 2nd and 7. And another quarterback drop. And Michael Bishop using his power to push the pile forward in that last surge. I think enough to get a first down. 3rd time we've seen that called today.
Yeah, and a key block here by Wes Cates on the quarterback draw. There's Wes Cates there. He's going to slip through and get his body in front of Jamal Johnson, who ends up being that Javi Glatt guy, the guy in the middle who has the responsibility. You see Cates chips him long enough so that Glatt or Jamal Johnson can't get there in time.
So it is a first down at the BC 51-yard line. Action fake to Cates, buys some time, and a strike to Wes Dressler in front of Dante Marsh. And a Saskatchewan first down at the BC 34.
They bring in here Chris Zarka as the tight end to try and buy Michael Bishop a little more time. And Bishop, he goes play action. That gives him a second. Then he's got Zarka in front of him for a second, and then he guns one down that sideline.
So better form from Bishop, who I think threw some passes that were wobblers in the first half that we don't usually see from him. Now Cates straight ahead, makes the first man miss and is dropped at the 30-yard line.
So a little bit of Wes Cates. They go with the quarterback sneak or quarterback draw, which is the staple for the Saskatchewan offense. And don't be surprised to also see Michael Bishop roll out and start to get on the edge and start to throw on the run. He is most comfortable, I believe, in his career when he's throwing on the run. And that looks like it might be Zarka down.
Yeah, the Vancouver native, who always wants to know how his Canucks are doing, is trying to bounce back from this. When he gets attention, we'll step out. Zarka now getting some weight on that leg. When they first helped him off, there was no weight on it, but he did take a few steps there, testing a potential knee injury. Second down, Michael Bishop rolling, and he has another strike. Rob Bag. Different Michael Bishop showing up for the second half. First down, Roughriders.
Michael Bishop on the run. He's got the arm strength to be able to use at least 2/3 of the field, which most quarterbacks can't. He can throw against his body. He can throw it to the wide side, and he can throw it deep. When he gets on the run, he feels like he can break down a defense. And he got that one in there as well.
15 yards for Bag and a first down. And now Bishop rolling in pursuit. Wake, and that pass is incomplete out of the reach of Rob Bagg. Let's take a look at what happened to the fullback, 12-year vet Chris Sarka.
Well, it was running play to Cates, and it was Cameron Wake coming down from the backside of the play. He goes to dive for Cates, rolls on the back of the legs of Chris Zarka. This is the reverse angle of it. You see Cameron Wake cutting down inside there, and as he continues on, he rolls on the back of the legs. 3-3.
How about the pursuit of Wake on that last play? Anybody else but Cameron Wake, and Michael Bishop might have just taken off on his own there. There was an incomplete pass intended for Bagg, and 2nd and 10. Low shotgun snap again. Bishop in trouble, and he shakes that tackle from Otis Floyd. Got it away, Wes Cates. Brought down by Javi Glatt at the 12-yard line.
First of all, there's the strength of Michael Bishop. He's talking now to Jeremy O'Day, saying, get that shotgun snap up, because if you do, we've got something going. And again, when you take your eyes off the secondary, the play breaks down for the quarterback for a split second. Now he's got to find his receivers. He's got to buy himself some time. He shows his strength there as Otis Floyd just falls off him. Does find Wes Cates, but he can't get the first down.
So Michael Bishop, who put 50 points up in the second halves of his last 2 games, 28 against Toronto, 22 against Edmonton, drives him into field goal range for Luka Kanji to hit his 3rd of the game. And it's a 7-point BC Lion lead. 54-40, entertaining the fans here at Mosaic at halftime. And they're standing by with Farhan Lalji.
Chris, I'm here with Brad and Neil. Now, this is a Vancouver-based band that's out here in Regina as part of their cross-Canada tour. And Brad, we'll start with you. Who are you cheering for here?
BC Lions.
And you grew up cheering for Saskatchewan, and a lot of heartbreak.
Oh, yeah. I was born here, just down over there. So I'm so excited to be here at Taylor Field. This is awesome.
You guys ever played in front of a crowd like this?
Yes, we have. But not this many Roughrider fans. Never this many Roughrider fans.
These guys are going to be playing the after party afterwards, and they're hoping there's something to celebrate, or they might get the beer can treatment the Lions guys got last time.
Yeah, we don't want that. Roughrider's good.
Thanks a lot, guys. Great show at halftime, and good luck this afternoon.
Thank you, Farhan. What a hit by Jamie Borum. But at the other end, Chris Sarka heads to the dressing room after he got rolled on by Cam Wake. Buck Pierce comes out for his first series of the second half, and his lead now is 7.
Well, some missed opportunities for the Lions offense. That's the bad news for BC fans. The good news is they have the lead. And here comes that crowd.
In full voice. Pierce under pressure. Gets it away. Claremont with the catch. And the Regina product up over the 40-yard line. Second grab of the game for Jason Claremont.
Buck Pierce just about ran out of time there. The secondary contained from the linebacking core for Saskatchewan. He got it out of his hands, dumps it off. Claremont is his last choice on the play. He wanted to go deeper, but you could see Kifana Jones wasn't allowing that.
8 for Claremont. 2nd and 2. The first down, and he'll be tossed down by Scott Schultz at the 46.
Shirko Haji-Razuli, who's been on and off the roster for the BC Lions, will get a key block here, number 55. Go ahead and run it, guys. Stefan Logan behind the quarterback, Buck Pierce, in the shotgun, and you can see the nice block right there in the middle of your screen. Haji-Razuli pushing Marcus Adams out of the way to give a little room to his little running back.
In the lineup last year in the Western Final, and things started to fall apart on that offensive line as they gave up 7 sacks. Buck Pierce and Claremont absorbed a hit, and that is vintage Jason Claremont.
And that's the toughness we talked about off the top of this game and the top of the show, is that Jason Claremont will pump up his teammates when he makes these kind of catches. Cross the middle, he's going to get hit by Scott Gordon. He knows it, and it doesn't faze him. And that's a big one, too. He just brushes that one off, picks up extra yards. Good timing on the throw from Buck Pierce. But Claremont absorbs the hit.
Well, I want to mention yesterday, he brings the psyche to the offense when he's in. And now, Paris Jackson with a catch, and the other 19 brings him down, James Johnson.
Buck Pierce looks sharp right now, Chris, because he's getting pressure in his face, but he's not letting it affect him. He's not looking at the rush. That's a couple times now. Kiwana Jones on that first throw to start this series. He had a little pressure on the throw to Jason Claremont there. Again, he had a Rough Rider in his face and got the ball out to Paris Jackson. He looks sharp. He's getting the ball out of his hands when he has to.
Well, there's been an adjustment in that secondary. Johnson in one corner, Cordy in the other. Omar Morgan not in the defense at the moment. That pass is complete, and Paris Jackson tried to walk the tightrope, but he steps out after a first down, and Buck heating up here in this second half.
Well, he really has, and he heated up in the second half of the regular season as well. Since being named the starting quarterback, that was about 10 games. 2,678 yards. What's most impressive, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. In his first games, 1 to 10, he had 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's improved that dramatically.
They've marched the ball 45 yards so far on this drive. First and 10. And Pierce steps up, flag down, and will slide feet first. And this likely a holding call against BC.
Well, there was a battle going on the outside between tackle Rob Murphy.
Holding BC number 56. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Who was as intense as I've seen him all season long to start this game. There he is right here. Not sure of the rider off the edge. It might have been John Chick. But he locks up on him. Now, the first one was okay, and then as he started to drive him down, and he held on a little too long.
Omar Morgan is on the sidelines, jacket on, and hobbling a bit on the bench. First and 20 BC. Pierce has time, and has G-Roy Simon for another catch in front of Anton McKenzie, and gets back close to the original line of scrimmage.
That's the goal on first and 20 offensively. Offensively, your goal is to get half. And you see G-Roy Simon this time. Simon is the wide receiver on the play. Change motion with Paris Jackson. Change means the slot back goes and becomes the wide receiver. The wide receiver becomes the slot back, and it can cross up the defense.
In 3 previous meetings, only once per game did BC have a drive of 8 plays or longer. This, the 8th play of this drive, their longest of the game. 2nd and 11. Left bat it down. Intended again for G-Roy Simon. Sean Lucas made the defensive play.
He's going to get some help, and I believe it's Anton McKenzie who is going to drop out of there, the linebacking core, and help out on G-Roy Simon. In the Calgary game for the BC Lions, Buck Pierce didn't have a bad football game. He threw for 346, but there was one play that bothered Wally Buono. It was a play he tried to force it to G-Roy Simon that was intercepted, and this one Buck Pierce forced. He got away with it, but you could see 3 wider defenders in the area.
So Paul McCallum comes on, attempting a 41-yarder, trying to make it a 10-point game again. And McCallum is good, 6 for 6 in his last visit. And now 19-9 BC. TSN, also the home of the NFL. Sunday Night Football continues this week. The New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. And on Monday Night Football, the 49ers take on the Cardinals. And coverage post-game 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Available in TSN HD.
Batman's here.
There's a lot of superheroes in the crowd. Superman on the field for BC, and Saskatchewan with the football. Double tight ends, and Wes Keats not much. Maybe 2 with Cam Wake in on the stop.
Well, every Friday night, we always say hello to our troops in the armed forces. Tuesday is Remembrance Day. Time for all Canadians to honor the men and women who fought to defend our freedom from Vimy Ridge, which is where all of these pictures come from in World War I to the present day. We salute and thank our armed forces, past and present.
Michael Bishop airing it out way too far. It's 10 yards over the head of Weston Dressler. And the fans getting on the starting Saskatchewan quarterback. Quick 2 and out after the Lions field goal to restore the 10-point lead.
On that last throw, though, Chris, I think Michael Bishop threw that away, and he's one of the few quarterbacks in the league that can, when he wants to throw it away, he doesn't throw it 15 yards to the sideline. He throws it 110 yards down the field.
So Moore to kick it away. A slight breeze at his back. Ian Smart at his 30. And Smart up to the 35 has 5 on the return. Still a festive atmosphere here at Mosaic with 5:11 left, third quarter.
I like that guy back there. That's the type of football helmet you wear in that back corner. See back there? That's the type of football helmet when you start to think you're really good. Your head starts to swell. Well, either that or kazoos in the house. I'm not sure.
Pierce back to work. Penalty marker down. This play doesn't get off.
You know, other than one series, Buck Pierce has handled this crowd quite well, which is...
Procedure, BC number 56. 5-yard penalty.
2 calls in a row on Rob Murphy, the left tackle.
And talking about that crowd that we're showing you, and they know when to cheer, and they've been making it difficult for Buck Pierce to call plays in the line of scrimmage. He has to start using hand signals and hand motions. So far, other than one series, he's done pretty well with it. Now they're in first in a bunch.
Here's 6 for 7. And the opening drive of the second half of BC. First and 15. And he's on target to Ryan Grace Mullen.
That's what I mean about the composure. He's sitting in there. He can't really even hear himself think. He can barely hear his own cadence as he calls for the football. And he stands in that pocket with composure. The outside guy is Grace Mullen right there. He's going to just run the down and then curl into that middle, into that little hole in the zone defense. Timing there from Buck Pierce.
And we understand our virtual first down marker is not working at the moment. We're working on that. It is a first down for the Lions at their own 45-yard line. Logan, a stutter step there to avoid the first wave and make something out of nothing. And again, Scott Schultz on the tackle.
Kewana Jones had a chance at him in the backfield and missed him, but I talked to Maurice Lloyd and Sean Lucas yesterday at practice about tackling Stephon Logan, and he said that Kewana Jones, with his quickness, they're interchangeable, those linebackers, and Sean Lucas and Lloyd said can't do it one-on-one. He is just so quick, but what we can do is rally to the ball. We get 4 or 5 hats on him and gang tackle, then we can bring him down.
Logan, 10 carries, 91 yards. He had only 17 yards on 8 carries in 2 games in the regular season against Saskatchewan. There's a first down toss to Paris Jackson as Buck Pierce is on target here in the second half.
And he took a bit of a hit at the end of the play as well. I think it was Renaud Williams who came off the edge. There's Buck Pierce there, and I think it was right here, Renaud Williams, the backup linebacker. He comes off the corner free, puts a pretty good hit on Buck Pierce. Again, he got the ball in his hands just in time.
And the Lions have moved it into Saskatchewan territory. Roughrider 53-yard line, first down. They fake the hitch, and they go over the middle, and Jason Claremont's got another first down catch. Brought down by Anton McKenzie.
Early in the season, well, it was actually about 4 weeks ago, the Edmonton Eskimos traveled to BC Place Stadium and beat BC 27-20. In that game, Buck Pierce threw for 90 yards. Was his worst game as a pro, and he admitted it. Went back in the next game, was pounded physically, and completed passes for 378. His best game as a pro. He's on right now.
Buck's fueling it, and back to Logan. Stephon Logan trying to get outside, forced out at the 39-yard line, but Buck Pierce has been sharp, as the numbers would indicate here in the second half.
Yeah, 90%, 85 yards, no mistakes. The interception column's got the donut under there. And that, you know, what he's doing as well, he's getting that ball out of there, but Jacques Chapdelaine, with the protections that he's providing the offensive line, is giving them just enough time to get that football to the receivers. They've shortened down their routes a little bit, it looks like, but it's working.
In the regular season, only 2 plays against Saskatchewan for over 30 yards. Only one in this game, that big 53-yard run by Logan. Penalty marker down, and on the run, Buck Pierce takes off and takes a hit. As the safety Scott Gordon came across, looked like John Chick jumped the gun and drew the offside flag.
Yeah, Stephon Logan stops John Chick from taking Buck Pierce and just putting a huge hit on him. He was offside. Chick was coming off the edge, and Logan threw his body in there and sacrificed himself so that his quarterback wouldn't get hit.
Tough year for Chick. Thumb, knee, shoulder problems, limiting him to 8 games.
Yeah, and a finger, too, he had. At 1 point, 8 starts, 3 sacks.
Dominant performance in last year's Grey Cup game. I think they're debating whether to likely to take the 5 and go 1st and 5.
Offside. Saskatchewan. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Oh, second and it'll be 2nd and 1.
Well, I'll show you Stephon Logan here. He makes the big block, and there's right there is John Chick. And I say the big block, even though this is offside. You see Chick got the jump. You see Logan, he just threw his body in there to protect his quarterback so he didn't get a free shot.
Well, it's been impressive ball control by the Lions in this 3rd quarter. A 9-play drive for a field goal. And on this possession, the 7th play coming up as they look at 2nd and 1.
Keep in mind, Chris, they had to overcome holding calls in both these series.
This is Brady in motion. Double tight end formation, play action. Jarius Jackson, G-Roy Simon, touchdown.
They got a matchup in short yardage. G-Roy Simon on Sean Lucas. It is often a game of matchups, and a perfect throw from Jarius Jackson.
So off the bench in short yardage situations, a perfect call by the Lions.
And this is how they get the matchup. There is G-Roy Simon, and there is Sean Lucas. Because Simon lines up in the backfield, it's the linebacker, Lucas, that's going to take him coming out of that backfield. But Simon runs a post pattern inside. That's a matchup the Lions will take. As good as Sean Lucas has been covering receivers, that's one of the best in the league in G-Roy Simon.
Well, only 7 points on 4 turnovers in the 1st quarter, but now 10 points here in the 3rd quarter as the offense starts to click.
Well, look at Simon where he starts. This is another angle. Go ahead and run it, guys. He comes out of that backfield, and then a real good move right there as he makes that head fake going this way and then comes back to the post. You can see Lucas is now in a blind turn. That's called a speed turn, where you have to turn your back to the receiver. You never want to come out of your back pedal like that. That puts him in a bind. Now he's in a chase position. Touchdown, BC.
First postseason touchdown pass thrown by Jarius Jackson.
Tell him, G-Roy, there ain't no 4th quarter comeback. Tell him like this.
Yeah, G-Roy Simon, who ended the season hot with 7 touchdowns in his last 8 games, has a big one here in this West semifinal with 59 seconds remaining in this 3rd quarter.
Well, that's tremendous route running, but the element of surprise from the BC Lions when they can put a guy like Jarius Jackson, who has started games for the Lions this year. He's come off the bench in games. He's got plenty of playing experience all season long.
Offense! Lyle!
Dressler takes the line drive kickoff. Up across the 30, and at the 35, that ball came loose. And a man scramble again. Alexis Brenge with contact on Dressler.
I thought they may say that Weston Dressler was down, but the way the refs are rooting around there, they want to see who recovered this fumble, and BC's got it.
It is BC football. Well, we may see a Saskatchewan challenge flag. Let's see what happened to Dressler. Ball's coming out there.
And it's out. That ball came out before Dressler's knee touched.
And it looks like Ricky Foley, 95, may have been the man on the football.
It looked like Dressler ran into Wes Cates, his own man, and that's what started to cause the fumble. But I think that ball came out before his knee touched.
Looks like Ken Miller's reaching for the flag. He wanted to confer with Dressler, but I think Dressler told him to put it back.
Well, Ken Miller actually grabbed a tooth there, but I think that was the purpose, yes.
Fifth turnover of the game, and Buck Pierce steps up. And there's the feet first slide, but turnovers put Saskatchewan in a big hole early.
I mentioned off the top that in Game 3 between these teams, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had 8, only gave up 6 points. The Saskatchewan defense held on the first 4 turnovers, held BC to just 7 points in that first half. But in the playoffs, everything is a little more intense, more sense of urgency.
Rain in jeopardy, but Buck Pierce fumbles the football. It's loose, scooped up. John Chick's got it. Still rumbling it down at the 35, and there's still life for the defending Grey Cup champions. Anton McKenzie forces it. John Chick comes up with it on the final play of the third quarter. Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Sorry, Chris, you can see with the BC Lions that the edge in the net yards, that after 3 quarters with the score and the edge in the statistics, you would think they were blowing it out. But, you know, Saskatchewan has hung around. And how many times have people this year ruled out the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and they've come back to prove them wrong?
Our decision desk was just about ready to declare victory, and then the biggest turnover the first turnover, but maybe the biggest of the game, is upcoming.
You know, sometimes it just takes one play to ignite the entire team, and that one play could have been the one from Anton McKenzie right here. No question that Buck Pierce had pump faked that ball and pulled it down. That was a fumble created by Anton McKenzie. Maybe this will be the spark.
Michael Bishop to work. A completion. Andy Fantouz has his first catch of the night. Down to the 16, and they need to get him into this offense.
Yeah, and that's a little surprising considering his playoffs from a year ago and how productive he was in 2 playoff games. He had 160 yards and 12 catches. Also had a very impressive Grey Cup game. And you know what? Andy Fantouz has to be involved in this offense, gets him going. Again, maybe it's that spark.
He had the first touchdown in BC in last year's Western Final. 21-yard gain, 1st and 10 at the 15, and Bishop swings it out far side, and unable to pull it down was Weston Dressler.
And that time, Andy Fantouz was open on the short side of the field on an out, and they wanted to get the ball to Dressler out in the flat there. But Bishop, at times in his career, has had problems deciding when to put touch on the ball and when to try and drill it in there, and that one sailed a little bit on him and had a lot of heat on it for a little swing pass.
Deepest penetration of the night for the Roughriders. 2nd and 10. And Bishop steps up and is pulled down at the 13-yard line. And they'll have to settle for 3.
And I know it's tempting, and I know the fans here at Mosaic Stadium would love to see Ken Miller in this part of the field with the game of this magnitude go ahead and try and gamble. This is the sound football decision.
They're 3 scores down, get 1 score, make it a 14-point game.
Yeah, this is the sound football decision. 13:33 is lots of time left.
Kanji, who's had those 2 long ones, and now will nail down his 4th of the game. 4 field goals and a 14-point BC lead. TSN is the home of the Grey Cup, and the road to the big game continues next Saturday with both East and West finals. It'll be Edmonton and Montreal. Calgary awaits the winner of this game. And our coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific in TSN HD. Well, these fans want a big defensive series now as Stefan Logan with the run and a 3-yard gain. That gives us an opportunity to congratulate the Vancouver Island Raiders and their quarterback, Regina native Campbell Antonini, for a win today in the Canadian Bowl Junior Football Championship. Andrew Harris, who was in the BC Lions camp, ran for 393 yards in that game.
Nice.
Wow. 4 touchdowns.
By the way, UFC beat Simon Fraser 44-21. You said it was my job to update you on that as well.
The dream season has ended.
Yes, it
had a good one in Simon Fraser. Bounce back year for them. And the Roughriders bounce back.
All these second downs become huge now in the 4th quarter.
Lions need 7. And they're going to get it. G-Roy Simon for the first down. And finally dropped at the 50-yard line. So 12 for Simon, whose touchdown looms large now here in the second half.
G-Roy Simon is that shallow crosser coming right across the top of your screen. And all Buck Pierce needs is long enough for Simon to cross outside of those linebackers, get wide of them. Then he's got some space in the open field.
That touchdown was his 4th career playoff touchdown. Logan again. Not much. Brought down Marcus Adams. The defensive tackle brings him down after a gain of maybe a yard. And with the marking, looks like just about the line of scrimmage.
So far, the Riders have been reluctant to go full blitz against Buck Pierce. They have sent linebackers. We saw Anton McKenzie make that big play to cause a turnover, but that wasn't from full blitz. We'll see what they get here, because with Stephon Logan out, the Lions will substitute 1 more receiver. Put Lyle Green in for blocking help.
Down by 2 touchdowns. Saskatchewan can't give up any first downs. 2nd and 10. Pass caught, but that's not a first down. Lance Frazier closing on Paris Jackson for 7.
Well, this time they show that they're going to come on the blitz, and Buck Pierce has all kinds of time. He doesn't have to rush. Go ahead and run it here. You see them all on the line of scrimmage. There's 5 up there now, but look at how many they rush. Stop it there. 1, 2, 3 coming on the rush. So Buck Pierce has lots of time if he wants. Doesn't recognize it quick enough. He forces that short throw, and then all those coverage guys just rally and stop him short.
Well, the Riders defense does get a stop. Weston Dressler, their most dangerous returner. They didn't want to use Dressler much to take away from his offense, but they need a big special team play if they can get it. So Dressler's in. And Dressler brought down, and there's Jason Araki again. Boy, the rookies had a great year on teams. This game game has taken its toll on some of the Riders. Let's join Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, if the Riders want to come back, they will do it shorthanded, especially on the defense. First, let's start with Chris Zarka, who left the game on a cart in the third quarter. He is out with a leg injury. Maurice Lloyd has gone with a back injury, and Omar Morgan injured his shoulder tackling G. Roy Simon. He's not sure if the shoulder popped out. He told me at one point he would try to loosen it up and go back in. The jacket hasn't come off, and the trainer says he too is done for the night.
Michael Bishop on offense, steps up, Fantus with a catch to get them out of a hole up at the 30-yard line. Ryan Phillips with the tackle.
Well, the injuries continue to mount again for Saskatchewan. This time, a couple hit on defense. As Farhan said, their offense gets a play here from Andy Fantus coming out of the backfield. Michael Bishop right there, steps up in the pocket with confidence. Their offense, this offense this year has thrown to 21 different receivers from 4 different quarterbacks.
If that's not the CFL record, it's close. Fantus with his second catch of this second half, 1st and 10. Bishop guns that just out of the reach of Andy Fantus.
This isn't completed pass from Michael Bishop, but when you have a running quarterback, it can really cause a defense to hesitate, and I'll show you what I mean. Watch as Bishop gets contained here. Otis Floyd can come up and just make the stick on him right there if he wants, right? But watch how he'll hesitate. A running quarterback makes you break down there. See how he chopped his feet so he didn't get beat to the outside? He had to do that to contain Bishop.
Second and 10 from the Roughriders 30-yard line. And Bishop guns that. Dressler's got it. First down, 46-yard line. Baron Miles, the safety, with the tackle. And Michael Bishop throwing a fastball.
How many times have people rolled this football team out? More injuries mount for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and yet they will not give up. They will not quit. It's been the mantra of this team all season long. They continue to battle. They continue to fight. They fight through adversity. They come together when they face it, and they just will not go away.
Think about the game in Winnipeg, the Banjo Bowl. That pass, it is picked off. And it is Ryan Phillips. And it's going to be a BC touchdown. Today that he had all season, and this is a 54-yard dagger into the hearts of the Grey Cup champions.
Yes, it is, and in this game we have seen the best and the worst of Michael Bishop. We've seen him throw with authority, we've seen him throw with confidence, and we've seen him do this a couple of times as well. Passes where he was rushed, he should have taken the hit. He throws it to an open area, and that open area closed in a hurry when Ryan Phillips swallowed the football.
First postseason interception for Ryan Phillips, or touchdown, his second of the game after a tough year. 12 interceptions last year, 1 this year, but 2 in this Western semi.
I told the camera before the game. Hey, RP, dealer, love y'all, man, mama, nieces, everybody watching, man. That's for y'all, man. I owe y'all.
Ryan
Real
Phillips,
talk.
one of the
Game
stars
ain't over, though, but we about to make it
of
over.
this Western
Real talk.
semifinal. Saskatchewan got within 7 early in the third quarter. Now trailing by 21. James Johnson on the return. Let's take a look at the biggest defensive play of the game.
Well, Ryan Phillips is just going to rely on the pressure. There's Phillips there, and the route is a basic go route right here. And watch how he just lets it go and sits on the throw. He's just going to sit in the open area. In fact, 2 BC Lions had a crack at it. Baron Miles, who had rolled low from his safety position, and Ryan Phillips. But it was the pressure off the edge from Jerome Dennis that caused the problems. Watch Bishop. He's got Jerome Dennis right in his face, so he rushes the throw. He doesn't take a look at Fantus. He doesn't throw the ball away or take the hit. That's a ball he wants back. We've seen, again, the best and the worst. Watch to the left of your screen. Bishop gets that man right in his face. That throws it off, and that makes him rush it.
Turnovers, the story. And now Saskatchewan minus 19 in the giveaway takeaway department in the last 8 games. And Rob Murphy savoring it a lot more than the home fans.
And Darian Durant was warming up the moment that Michael Bishop threw that interception, and he is now putting his playlist into his wristband.
Deanna Carter is down, and it might be to buy a little time for Durant to be ready. Michael Bishop's day's done. Jimmy Johnson's quest to capture his 3rd consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup continues tomorrow as he heats up the track at the Phoenix International Raceway for the Checker Auto Parts 500. Live coverage begins 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Available in TSN HD. They sold out the season here at Mosaic Stadium. Not getting the result they were looking for. But they get Darian Durant into the game. Andy Fantuz draws the penalty marker, and the Lions don't like this call. But Durant got a big cheer from the Rough Rider faithful as he comes in relief of Michael Bishop.
And Darian Durant is...
Pass interference, BC number 21. It'll be a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Ryan Phillips just a little bit early on that break on the football. But Darian Durant, what was interesting about this to me was that Ken Miller had said that Darian Durant is, of the 3 quarterbacks, the best manager. He will manage the game. And Michael Bishop is the best big play potential guy, which is why it was a little interesting that he started Bishop, the big play guy, and not the manager. And now he has to bring the manager off the bench.
Durant, and Darius Bowman with a catch. And Bowman up to midfield. Against a BC Lion defense that has created 6 more takeaways today. After leading the league with 60 in the regular season, it is a high-pressured, high-octane defense that Mike Benavides is the architect of.
Mike Benavides in his meeting rooms brings a shovel, an actual shovel. And what he's trying to tell his team is that we got to go to work. You got to go to work every single day.
Durant tried the quarterback draw, just ran right into Aaron Hunt, who's had a big afternoon, but there's a long list of Lions defenders in that category.
And that list is, at the top of that list, Chris, is the front 4, who all week long were told that this wasn't maybe as good a defense as everyone has been saying all season. They didn't like it. Cameron Wake didn't like it. The entire defense said, oh, okay, we're underdogs. No problem. But this has a team of 13 all-stars.
3rd down, and the Rough Riders going for it, 3rd and 5. Durant looking for somebody, and he's got Bowman for first down. Jolted out at the line, 46-yard line.
That'll keep the drive alive, but Cameron Wake, in fact, was so upset in his locker back in BC. We shot this during the work week. Had posted an article that was written in the local newspaper that said BC can't stop anyone these days after the Calgary game, that they were embarrassed. They have had it with that kind of stuff. That's what they said. Now they've come and they've responded. Now can they finish it off with 6:14 to go?
First down, Durant. And that one skipped short of the intended target, Bowman. Well, they had given up 128 points in the last 4 games. And, of course, 41 last week in Calgary in that second half. Most of those points, or more than half, by the second stringers of the Stampeders. But as Wally Buono mentioned, this team has bounced back from adversity well this year. An 0-2 start. And then they came back at 4-5. Things didn't look good. And after the loss in Montreal, they ripped off 7 of 8. Pressure on Durant, got it away. Dressler. It's by Crawford. Weston Dressler still going inside the 10.
Darian Durant paid the price. In fact, he paid full retail, and it took him a second to shake it off and get himself up off the Mosaic turf. He had to wait for Dressler to open up. He was the last read on the play, way outside the wide receiver. So he has to hold on to that football, and he's going to take a big hit from Jamal Johnson that came right through the B gap between the guard and the tackle. But he paid full retail, and it paid off.
Dressler with a 41-yard gain. Got a block from Chris Getzlaff. Close to another 100-yard gain for Dressler. Trying to get him within 2 touchdowns. Flips to the end zone. Over the head of Fantuz.
Fantuz looked inside, and Darian Durant had thrown it to the outside shoulder. And Darian Durant looking for a little help from the sideline to get a play signaled in. And what they'll do is they'll just give him a number, and he'll take that corresponding number, look at his play sheet on his hand, and then he'll call the play from there.
8th play upcoming. 2nd and goal from the 6. And Durant over the middle. He couldn't hook up with Getzlaff, who was open.
Did BC Lion Javi Glatt get a hand on that ball over the middle? It looked like it was a perfect throw from Darian Durant. I thought when it left his hand, it had a chance, and this was going to be a touchdown. Javi Glatt, just a little touch, and that pushes it a bit to the outside on the intended target, because that tight spiral was going right over the middle to Getzlaff.
And that front seven's got their hands on a few footballs today. 3rd and goal from the 6. Trying to stay alive. And that's incomplete for Dressler. And no penalty marker on the play. And the Lions defense celebrates the stop. And that will be the 7th turnover of the night. The first on downs.
The first 4 of those turnovers didn't hurt Saskatchewan on the scoreboard, but you know they catch up to you. Blitz coming there. I think it was Otis Floyd of the BC Lions who came on the delayed blitz. Didn't allow Darian Durant to hold on to that ball any longer, and Weston Dressler just wasn't open. Corey Banks all over him.
A little worried that he'd never played in cold weather before, but it wasn't that cold, and he's been hot.
Yeah, he was concerned about it. In fact, saw a couple of pregame stories on Stephen Logan, who admitted that he was concerned about whether or not the temperature would dip. They play in the tin can, they call it Dakota Dome in college. He said never played in a cold weather game.
53-yarder in the first half, 21 on that. And they'll stick with him. They check that he is scored in for Logan.
And he didn't get a cold weather game, really, because ideal conditions here for football, especially in November in Saskatchewan. Very little wind, and it was basically a perfect weather day at the kickoff.
And you wonder if Wally Bottle will keep him right there on the bench, ready for next week. Logan with 119 on the ground. A couple of catches as well.
Hold up, hold up.
You know, 2 things here. Buck Pierce doesn't like what he sees. He's going to just walked away from that shotgun position. A couple things in this game, Chris.
Please reset the game clock to 3:29 and reset the play. Thank you.
A couple things. One, I think in the second half, Buck Pierce has really managed the game well. He's come out, he's been sharp. There was a couple of times when Saskatchewan was just a split second away from making a big play, making a sack, and he was delivering the ball on time. Had a couple of series early in the 3rd quarter where he had to overcome holding calls as well in 1st and 20, and did that.
2nd and 7, BC. Pierce for Smart, and he is smart, gets away, and he's still going across midfield. And the exclamation points are being put on this one. The 3-minute warning given to the benches in this Western semifinal with the Lions in control. Our game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Well, Saskatchewan hung on early in the first half. The Roughriders on offense had 4 turnovers, and they only gave up 7 points off those turnovers. But Bishop, 3 interceptions, was left in the game until the last series. Pierce has looked good, and so does that BC defense.
Logan back in. And he continues to chew up the yardage down to the 35.
Chris, you said off the top of the show that the BC Lions have 13 All-Stars, but the question for BC was, would those All-Stars sacrifice? Would the All-Stars step up and do what they had to do to win a football game in the playoffs? Those are the things. That block from Jason Claremont right there at this stage in the football game are the little things that you have to do to win the big games in the playoffs. That's the toughness that he brings.
Back to Logan again. And Stefan Logan continues to be a handful. And we will not have a repeat Grey Cup champion. Last one, the Argos 96-97.
And how about the performance of Stefan Logan? And talking to the BC Lions before the game, they said the key to trying to neutralize the speed of the linebacking core in the Saskatchewan defense was to attack them. Attack them with the running game, and that meant a whole bunch of Stefan Logan, and he has delivered.
Well, Wally Bono jettisoned Joe Smith. He saw something special in Logan early in the year, and it has paid big dividends in this playoff game. Ian Smart again as they are running down the throats of the Roughriders now.
The BC Lions coming into this game, the most dangerous underdogs maybe in a long time in the CFL. Stefan Logan won the rushing title in this game against West Cates, who, when the Riders got further and further behind, had to abandon. They had to go away from Cates.
2nd and 1. Here's Jackson's made his mark today, and there's another first down. But let's pay tribute to the defending champions in a stretch of this being their 40th game since the start of last year. They won 27. They had the remarkable run to the playoffs. Ken Miller somehow kept this team on the rails this year in the wake of maybe the worst rash of injuries we've seen in the league.
It's been a remarkable story that they could even get past the 10-win mark, could host a playoff game. Back-to-back years they have done that with all of their injuries.
1st and 10, hop, skip, but a little jump from Stefan Logan.
No disrespect to Appreciate Rodriguez and Hamilton, but they will likely have the outstanding rookie in the Canadian Football League this year in Weston Dressler. They've continued to battle one of the top defenses in Canadian football. Saskatchewan has had it all year long. And, you know, in their locker room, they have a Rough Rider logo in the middle of their locker room. No one ever steps on that logo because this team, that's been their thing. It's about the team first. And they've shown that all season long. They've had to because of their injuries.
Again, Logan inside the 5. And he should be close to another first down.
Andy Fantus knocked out for most of the season.
But you know, there were questions raised from the time Kerry Joseph was traded. And the questions persisted throughout most of the year. And there will be more questions about the quarterbacking here in Saskatchewan when this day is done.
Yeah, and no question about that. You know, Chris, when you think about it, you could look at that quarterback situation as a glass half full or half empty. Half empty is they never had a starter. In the last 3 games, they rotated. They had 3 different starting quarterbacks. That's the half empty approach. The half full approach is that means that 3 guys were prepared, and they had one with 3 different guys.
3rd and less than a yard. And Jackson plunging ahead and getting close to the goal line. He'll have a first down for BC.
But in the end, you know, some of the things that have been plaguing you in the regular season will rear their ugly heads in the playoffs. And, you know, there were concerns with the Roughriders, with that quarterback situation, and that problem did rear its ugly head here with 3 interceptions from Michael Bishop. When the team just started to get moving, Michael Bishop made a mistake. And what does that say about his career moving forward? It will remain to be seen this offseason, but he is not a young rookie in the league. Michael Bishop's been around for some time.
Clock winding down, classy gesture. They will not push it through. They'll take a knee and end the game. And Wally Buono, who was confident yesterday, will take his team back to Calgary for a redo from last week's embarrassment. They'll beat the Calgary Stampeders in the Western Final, and the reign of the defending Grey Cup champions is over. Time now for the TSN Turning Point.
Well, we went down to the 4th quarter. The Riders had got it close. It was 2nd and 1. BC Lions, Jarius Jackson in short yardage. Had been going quarterback sneak, not this time. Over the top to Geroy Simon, and the BC Lions did not look back.
The TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. So both road teams prevail today. The Edmonton Eskimos, the first crossover team to win, as they prevail in Winnipeg, and Buck Pierce leading the BC Lions to victory here, as BC will meet Calgary at McMahon Stadium next Saturday. The final 33-12. So long from Regina. SportsCenter is next.